Hey guys, it's Mr. Creative, and today we're going to be talking about what is a 3D printer and how do they work. So before we get into the video, I want to say sorry about the noise. I just figured it would be a good thing to have the 3D printer on while we're talking about this so I can kind of show you guys how it all works. So yeah, let's get right into the video. The main part of a 3D printer is the hot end. This is a hot end right here. What it does is it has a heating block in it, and it heats up the filament as it passes through. It then extrudes the plastic from the nozzle and makes your item layer by layer by moving it around in X, Y, and Z directions. There's two holes right here. One is a very small one, which is for a thermistor, and the big one is for the heating element. These are also the cooling fins, which has a cooling fan usually right here and blows air past to keep this part cool. The second part that comes off of it is connectors and Teflon tubing. This lets the filament pass through and get into the hot end as it's moving around. The Teflon tube is hooked up into an extruder motor. These are the two things that I see get mixed up a lot. This is called the hot end, and the motor that actually moves the filament is called the extruder. The extruder consists of a little gear that digs into the filament and moves it along. And as it moves it along, it pushes more and more filament into the nozzle. This small motor, which is right here on my machine, is controlled by the main board and is a stepper motor. Then we have the filament spool, which is usually on a spool holder like I have it now, which feeds into the extruder motor. And that's the main assembly. Next we'll talk about how the hot end moves around. The hot end is inside of this head right here. This head has two cooling fans attached to it. One cools the hot end and one cools the layer. How these move around is there's a motor here and a motor back there. These are the X and Y motors. They have timing belts attached to them, and then at the end of the timing belts they have an idling bearing. To make sure all these axes get home to the correct position, they have limit switches there and in the back. The limit switches are used for homing the positions of the motors in the very beginning of the print to tell the machine where all the carriages are at. The carriages consist of the bed and the hot end assembly, also known as the head. These two axes move back and forth to create the 2D dimensions. We also have two motors down here which have screws that lift the whole carriage assembly here with the hot end up to create the next layer. These are called the Z motors. There's two of them because it needs to support the weight of all of this part up here, including this motor over here. And that's how it all moves around. Also on the 3D printer we have the main control center. This one has a LCD screen and 5 momentary push buttons. Some 3D printers also have a rotary encoder. This is the part where you control the printer and you can control what file it's going to print, the preheating temperatures, you can home the positions, and much more. Also connected to that by a ribbon cable, we have a main control board. That's like the motherboard of this entire thing. It controls all the stepper motors, holds the code, controls the LCD screen, controls the temperature of the hot end, and much more. So to make it simple, this is a 2D printer that moves up and down to create layer upon layer to make a final printed object. It uses plastic to do so, and some awesome engineering. So thanks for watching this video. I hope this helps you out, and I'll see y'all next time. Stay creative.